Great. Thank you very much, Eiffel. And on behalf of everybody here at SAP, I would like to welcome you to today's call, which is part 2 of our 2-part series, which is entitled, as Eiffel mentioned to you, Building Your SAP Business One Demo Environment. So in session 1, we talked a little bit about the infrastructure that you needed. We also talked a little bit about the demo scenarios. We got some feedback from a number of you that you would like to go into that in a little bit more detail. So I have adapted today's presentation to incorporate some of that feedback and give you that additional information that you've requested. So if you did join us for session 1 and you are hoping to get a little bit more detail, then we will certainly, or I'll certainly be providing it in today's session. So what is on the agenda for today's session? What I want to start talking about is really positioning SAP Business One, because as I go and I spend time with partners, listening to the way that the partners present the SAP Business One solution, I hear lots of different explanations of exactly what SAP Business One is. And oftentimes you'll get questions from prospective customers about where does SAP Business One fit into the SAP product portfolio for small and mid-sized enterprises. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to point you to additional resources that are going to help you learn how to really effectively position SAP Business One. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of demonstrating and talk a little bit about some of the techniques and best practices that you should use when you are demonstrating. And that's where I'm going to talk about the importance of storytelling. I'm going to introduce you to a particular way that I like to do face-to-face demonstrations when I'm demonstrating to an audience, where I introduce them to the team of people at our demo company, which is OEC Computers, and how I do that. Then we're going to talk about how do you present effectively the innovations that are available for you with SAP Business One 8.81 and, of course, very, very soon 8.82. I'm going to talk about how do we meet the challenges of demonstrating our solutions in a competitive environment where perhaps you are competing against people like Microsoft or Epicor or some of these other solutions. We're going to then talk about some of the additional solutions that you should be including in your demonstration scenarios. Things like BI OnDemand and the new Crystal Server 2011. Because that's going to give you not only the core functionality that's available in Business One, but it's going to enable you to engage further with decision makers in your prospective audiences. Why? Because those decision makers are really interested in those kinds of tools. And even if you're in a situation where those decision makers don't necessarily want to purchase those products at either stage 1 or stage 2 of their implementation, one of the things that's important to show them is what is possible with the overall SAP Business One solution and how they can extend their investment in the SAP Business One solution to deliver more value. Then I'm going to talk about some of the key demo scenarios for the innovations and show you where you can access those key scenarios. So with that explanation of today's agenda, I'll launch into the main part of the presentation. So I mentioned that we got the question after Tuesday's presentation about a little bit more detail in what are the steps involved in building a demo environment. And one of the recommendations that I made to everybody at the end of the last session, I said to you that really, if I was in your shoes, if I was running a partner organization myself, and I did run my own partner business for 12 years, but if I was running a partner organization now, the mechanism that I would choose out of the 3 demonstration options that we chose, laptop, private cloud, or public cloud, the one that I recommended was delivering your demos and building your demos environment on a private cloud. And a number of people came back and said, well, what specifically are the steps? Now, there is an area on my YouTube channel, which I'm going to take you to in a second and show you exactly where you can find those steps. And I know a couple of people, including Satish from the Partner Services Delivery team, has gone ahead and looked at that. And the feedback was, well, tell us a little bit more about those steps in detail. So this is what you've asked for, so I always like to try and deliver against what people request. So it's really, if you think about it, the process of building your demo environment, I like to position as 8 steps in 8 hours. Because if you follow the steps that I'm outlining here and you follow the process in the video, you should be able to build a full virtualized demo environment in around about 8 hours, and a demo environment that gives you the ability to have multiple different deployments, multiple different virtual images, different virtual machines with different components of SAP Business One, maybe different software solution partner solutions installed into different virtual machines, and to be able to switch them on and off as needed, and to be able to quickly recover those virtual environments back to an original state after you've completed a demonstration. So what are the 8 steps? Well, let me run through them in detail. Step 1 is to install and configure Hyper-V 2008 R2 on your server. So you need to have that bare bones server, and to refer back to the recommended specification, take a look at the recording of session 1. If you weren't able to join us, please go and watch that. But again, I do talk about it in the videos. So install and configure Hyper-V 2008 R2 on your server, and that basically is free, and it installs onto a bare metal server. Bare metal means it's basically a server with just the hardware and no operating system. So that gives you your virtualization platform. The second step that you need to do after you've installed and configured Hyper-V R2 on your server is then you need to download your operating system ISOs. These are your disk images for Windows Server 2008, Windows Small Business Server 2008 or 2011, Microsoft Office 2010, and of course, those you get via Microsoft's partner portal if you follow my suggestion from session 1, which is to sign up for the Microsoft Action Pack, which gives you access to all those demonstration licenses for a very low fee per year. Of course, the next thing you'll need to do is to make sure that you have SAP Business One installed and that you have access to license keys. So, step 3, you then take your Hyper-V installation, and using the Hyper-V tools, you install a base virtual machine that has Windows Server 2008 R2. You then install your base virtual machine with Small Business Server. And again, if you're doing that right now, you'd probably do it with Small Business Server 2011. The process is almost exactly the same as what you'll find in my video, which is using Small Business Server 2008. But you can still use that if you want to. The process is exactly the same. And don't forget, the purpose of building those base virtual machines is you then take those and you store them on your Hyper-V server, and every time you need to build a different version, you can start by copying those base VMs. So you don't have to do 5, 6, 7, 8 different installs of Windows Server. You do one into a virtual machine, and then you duplicate that virtual machine. Now, the great thing about Hyper-V is it gives you all the tools to make it very, very easy for you to do that, and I talk about that in the demonstration videos. Step number 5, you go ahead and you install on one of your Windows Server VMs, you install SQL Server 2008. On another Windows Server VM, you then configure and install remote desktop services. Step 7, you install your SAP Business One on SQL 2008. So in many respects, as I mentioned in session 1, this is just like performing a normal installation. So that's the reason why those videos are a great tool to use if you're wanting, or if you have people in your organization who want to learn how to install SAP Business One from start to finish from an infrastructure perspective, because those videos show you exactly how to do it. Step 8 is you then install the SAP Business One client on your remote desktop services machine, or on that remote desktop services virtual machine, and you're ready to go. So let's just go and quickly take a look at where you will find those videos and how you need to navigate out to them to watch them. So bear with me for a second. I'm just going to share out Internet Explorer, and I'm going to take you to my YouTube channel and show you what you can expect and make sure it's very, very clear how you get to those videos. So you need to go to www.youtube.com/DuffyRichard. Now, when you first go to the YouTube channel, it's going to present you with a video which will start automatically. And that video, by the way, is just a little quick 15-minute preview or an overview of the SAP Business One starter package. So again, the YouTube channel's full of lots of different videos that you can use yourself, or you can use them as examples of how to demonstrate. But the one you're looking for, across here on the right-hand side, you'll see these playlists. And you'll see this one here, and it basically, unfortunately, it doesn't give me the ability to show the full description, but you'll see across here it says Building Your SAP Business One, and that's Building Your SAP Business One Demo Infrastructure. And you'll see once you click on that, it gives you a full description of exactly what it is. You can click here and get more information about that. Okay, and it'll drill you down into a different view. Personally, I like to stay in this player view. Makes it a little bit easier to work through. And then what you'll see as you scroll down the list, you'll see each one of those demonstrations. And what I might do here for a second is I might just make that a little bit bigger. Makes it a little bit easier for you to read, hopefully. And you'll see, as I said, each one of those steps in the process. Okay, step 1 is configuring your Hyper-V environment. That's broken down into 2 sections. Then setting up the Hyper-V admin component, downloading the installation ISOs, building your virtual servers, so all of the components that I mentioned to you. And then all you need to do is click on it. Now, the first 2 of these are actually recorded with a high-definition video camera, recording the actual server itself. Then once that part's finished, everything else is recorded screen videos using Camtasia. So it makes it very easy for you to follow the entire process right through, including configuring your terminal server. And many people, as I said, are actually using these as training videos to show them exactly how to install SAP Business One. So that's a quick snapshot of those videos, and as you can see, all you need to do is click on the video, and you can take those videos and you can add them to a playlist of your own. If you have signed into YouTube with your own YouTube account, you can add those to your own playlist or a watch later playlist. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing that for a second, and we'll go back now to the presentation. Bear with me for 1 second while I do that. And I'm going to share documents, and there we go. All right, so that's now coming back up. So that is a little bit, if you like, of an overview of that process of building that private cloud server. And I mentioned in session 1 the investment that you can expect to be making, and I have done this myself. I've went out and bought this server hardware myself and put it in place in my server room in my house. You can expect to probably spend, if you buy, say, a Dell or an IBM server, you could probably expect to spend about $7,000 on that kind of server. Or if you use a clone or maybe a white box server, you can expect to spend, maybe $2,500 to $3,000. Okay? So that's the 8 steps to build your demo environment. So hopefully that addresses the questions that people had after session 1. So let's now move into our next part of this session, which is really around positioning SAP Business One. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to introduce you to that are going to help you with this, but I thought I'd just summarize a couple of the key points. When you're talking about SAP Business One in your demonstrations, there's really 3 things that you want to point out. Is that all of the products in the SAP Business One solution portfolio for small and mid-sized enterprises fit this description. They are powerful and proven. Each product is the best fit for a specific kind of organization, and each solution is future-proof. So then we provide you additional information, and you'll see I've got a little screenshot there of the SAP Business One positioning and messaging overview, which shows you and explains to you how to articulate this in much more detail. Now, if that's the first time you've seen that document and you're thinking, well, where do I get that? Well, there's 2 things. You can get that from the Channel Partner Portal, but at the end of today's presentation, I'm going to introduce you to a tool which more than 200 partners are using today, but many more partners are not yet aware of it, so I'm going to talk to you about that, and that's another way of getting all of that latest information. So when somebody says to you, what is SAP Business One? SAP Business One is a complete, integrated, world-class ERP solution that is truly affordable for small businesses. Now, you're going to notice we don't talk about the size of the business anymore in terms of the number of employees or the revenue. Why? Because with version 8.8 and the advances that the development team have made with the solution, we're no longer really in a situation where we're trying to, carefully pigeonhole SAP Business One into a specific customer size. Where does it fit into the SAP solution portfolio? Well, Business One is the most affordable, entry-level ERP solution amongst our offerings in the SME market. Now, it's important to understand the positioning as well of Business by Design and Business All-in-One, because that is a question that your prospects are going to ask you. Well, I've heard about Business by Design. What's that? So again, the key messaging around Business by Design is that Business by Design is an on-demand software as a service offering. Okay? Business One is available either on-premise or available in a hosted offering from partners. So who is SAP Business One ideal for? Business One is ideal for small businesses that want to fully integrate their end-to-end business and grow. And why is it unique in the portfolio? Well, it provides full functionality and integration that customers expect to get from an SAP solution. And, again, depending on which country you're in, these are US dollar kind of numbers. With the standard SAP Business One solution, it's a solution that lets users get started from as low as 10 to 15,000 for 1 or 2 users in a basic implementation and scale up as needed. Now, of course, don't forget, we now have the SAP Business One starter package, which allows you to start with as little as 1 user, and the implementation times are currently tracking at between 2.5 to 4 to 5 days, depending on the complexity and data migrations. So again, Don't forget the starter package. There is a different positioning for the starter package, and we'll cover that in another session. But overall, when you're talking about SAP Business One, even the starter package, this is the way to explain what it is, where it fits into the solution portfolio, who it's ideal for, and why is it unique in our solution portfolio. Why is it different to Business by Design? Why is it different to SAP Business All-in-One? So another question, hopefully that helps you, and I'm going to show you again that tool where you can access that document, and I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot of a little bit more of that document towards the end of today's presentation. So let's then talk about the next step, which is the importance of storytelling. And this is where I'd like to introduce you to a particular way of demonstrating. We talked about it briefly when we spoke in session 1, where I talked about the importance of demonstrating the software in terms of the different roles and functions that people inside an organization have. What you do is you use OEC Computers as your demo software. Now, of course, you might have chosen not to use the standard demo database. You might have decided to build your own. But what you need to do is make sure that if that's what you've decided to do, that you are in a position where you have different users set up and you can tell a story. You can explain who these different people are in the organization, in the sample data company that you've got, and what they do. So then in your demo, at the start of the demonstration, you're going to introduce the team at OEC Computers, and you're going to explain what each person does. So, for example, and by the way, don't forget at any point in time, you can click on the full screen button just in case you cannot read the screen particularly well. That will take the presentation up into full screen and might make it a little bit easier for you to read. You've got the team at OEC Computers. Now, if you'd like these slides that I use in my demonstration, again, I'm more than happy to make those available to you, and I'll publish those out in the tool that I'm going to explain to you at the end of the presentation. So who have we got? We've got, starting from the left, we've got Bob Schoen, who is in charge of production. Tom Brady, who's our CFO. We've got the lady that everybody probably knows, Sophie Clogg, who's our customer service officer. Brad Thompson in sales, and James Chan in purchasing. And it's great to use photos like this because it really does start to personalize the demo. Then when you're delivering your demonstration, you're going to start delivering your demonstration in an integrated fashion by role. So you'll talk about each of these people in the organization and how they use Business One to do their job. So it's like doing a day in the life of everybody in the company and start positioning how Business One is going to help each one of these different roles in the company. Now, of course, if you're doing a personalized demonstration for one of your prospective customers and they don't have production, obviously you're not going to include Bob Schoen from production. Perhaps they might have somebody else that's responsible for warehouse management. So again, you can take this basic concept and adjust it to fit the specific requirements that you have in your demonstration. An important thing to remember, and you'll see this in this demonstration video that I've put together and the demonstration slides that I put together to go with that. It's very, very important to position the importance of infrastructure. Why is that? 9 times out of 10, somewhere in your competitive landscape, you're going to have somebody who is positioning a Microsoft solution. Okay, now it might be a Microsoft Dynamics partner who is positioning AX, GP, NAV, or maybe Dynamics CRM. It might be another competitor like Epicor or whoever who is built on top of the Microsoft infrastructure. We have done exactly the same thing. And the infrastructure and the productivity tools from Microsoft, like Microsoft Office, form an incredibly important important component of the overall solution, because the solution that we deliver is not just SAP Business One, it's Business One and how it integrates with the rest of that infrastructure. So it's very, very important to position that, and you'll see how I do that in that demonstration. And the other important thing to remember, as you go through each of these demonstrations and you are delivering a demonstration showing how each different person in the organization uses SAP Business One, remember what we teach, in our Demo to Win training. And if you haven't done the Demo to Win training, that is our pre-sales level 1 and pre-sales level 2 training. Remember, level 1 is the e-learning, and level 2 is the workshop you can attend. If you haven't had the opportunity to attend a level 2 workshop, please reach out to your channel manager, your local product expert, and ask them if they can schedule a level 2 pre-sales workshop, and you'll get the opportunity to do that Demo to Win training. But one of the concepts, the techniques that we teach during Demo to Win is tell, show, tell. What does that do? Well, with tell, show, tell, you start off with what we call an opening tell. Tell the prospect what you're going to explain to them. So you might start off by saying, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to explain how the production capability of SAP works. I'm going to introduce you to Bob Schoen, and Bob is our production manager. I'm going to show you how Bob uses SAP Business One to manage his bill of materials, manage his production orders, and manage the issuing of inventory against his production orders and completing those production orders. You then go ahead and you run the demonstration of production covering each one of those different points. Then you come back and then you summarize. So that's tell, show, which is your demo, and then you do what we call a closing tell, where you, again, go back and summarize the key points that you wanted to draw to the attention of your prospective customer. Now, again, remember, in a perfect scenario, you've already done your discovery before you're out in front of your prospective customer doing the demonstration. So again, you're going to tailor it specifically to them. If you can, you could even substitute in the names of the people at your prospective customer. Again, why? We talk about this in Demo to Win. It's a great limbic technique. Remember, the limbic system is the part of your prospect's brain that pays attention. So when you start using their name and talking about them, then they are going to be listening. So that's the best way to do that. And if somehow you could even manage to grab some photos of those people and use those in your presentation, that would be perfect. Not the easiest thing to do, okay, but again, it could certainly be helpful. So that's really what the importance of storytelling is. You're picturing a day in the life of your prospective customer, a day in the life of your sample company, if that's what you're using to demonstrate with. Okay, people relate very, very well to storytelling. Again, I could go into the psychology of storytelling. I'm not going to in today's call, but if it's something that you are interested in, please, again, grab a copy of the book Demonstrating to Win by Bob Reefstyle. He talks a lot about it in that book. Again, don't forget you can buy that from Amazon.com, and of course you can buy it on your iPad or your Kindle device or whatever the case may be. So let's look at the core scenarios that we have to demonstrate in a little bit more detail. And again, this was one of the pieces of feedback from session 1. People said, okay, can you tell me a little bit more about these core scenarios? Now, there's 2 things that I want to introduce you to. Each one of these core demo scenarios I've posted up on YouTube, so you can watch those videos on YouTube, but that's not the only place you can get them. So I'm just going to quickly go and I'm going to share out my desktop again. And we're going to go back into Internet Explorer and I'm going to show you a couple of other things. So, many people are not aware, but we've launched a new resource for you, our SAP Business One channel partners. As a matter of fact, for all of our channel partners. And that's called the SAP Partner Edge Interactive. Now, the SAP Partner Edge Interactive is a new area that you can access. You can either go to it directly and log on with your S number, or you can access it via the Channel Partner Portal. The Channel Partner Portal is the tool that we use to communicate to you. Well, guess what? The Channel Partner Interactive, as the name suggests, is an area where not only can we post information, but you can also post information. You can start discussions with us at SAP and other channel partners. You can post your own blogs, and you can also access content there. So one of the blogs that I've made available is this particular one, which is Get More Hits with Video. And I've provided a range of videos that you can use. So if I scroll down, you'll see I've explained the importance of video, and then listed on this page, you will find links to each of the demonstration scenarios that I'm referring to. So you can download each one of these demos, and they're MP4 files, so they'll play back in Windows Media Player. They'll play back using QuickTime. You can even save them on your iPad if you want to, and you can play them on your iPad or your iPhone, or of course your Android tablet device if you have one of those. So each one of these demonstration scenarios is available. The user interface overview, sales order, sales opportunities, and so on. So that's one way you can access those demonstration scenarios, and you can see how you demonstrate SAP Business One. You can follow that process step by step. Now there's another area you can look at, and that is on my website at richardduffy.com. If you go to www.richardduffy.com, which, as many of you know, is my website, which is dedicated to SAP Business One, if you're on the home page, you will find a couple of different areas. You will find that there is this, if you like, this slideshow that comes up on the front page that has these different areas. So you can click on this area called Learn About Version 8.8, or you can go up the top here and click on SAP Business One and choose a complete demonstration of SAP Business One. That's then going to bring you into these demonstration videos that I talked to you about in session one. So let's go through, and I'm going to explain each one of those demonstration scenarios in a little bit more detail. The first scenario, the SAP Business One solution, is a quick overview explaining the core functionality at a very high level that's available in SAP Business One. I also take people through the user interface and explain the purposes or the purpose of the cockpit and the dashboard. So if you want to learn how to position the cockpit and the dashboard, then that is a great demonstration to start off with. The next one, and these don't necessarily have to be watched in order, okay, is sales opportunity management, where I show people the sales opportunity functionality, how you can record sales opportunities in SAP Business One, and then how you can use the management tools in SAP Business One to track and report on those sales opportunities. The sales process management demonstration takes you through the entire sales order process, from quotations through to orders, deliveries, invoices, and even explains the returns process. Purchasing takes you in detail through the purchase ordering process, starting from requisitions, moving through to purchase orders and accounts payable invoices. The service management demonstration takes you looking at all the different aspects of service management, from customer equipment cards through to service calls, the solution or the knowledge management database, and also explains some of the capabilities that's there in terms of service contracts. The inventory management demonstration explains the core inventory functionality that's available, talks about pricing, how we manage pricing in SAP Business One, explains the price list functionality. Then we start getting into some of the more specialized modules. MRP, where I go through the forecasting process, explain how forecasting works, explain the MRP wizard, demonstrate the MRP wizard, and explain how those order recommendations can then be turned into purchase orders. The banking demonstration scenario is where we show incoming payments and the processing of those incoming payments. We talk briefly about the processing of outgoing payments as well using the banking module. I demonstrate the deposit process and then also demonstrate bank reconciliation and the reporting available during the banking process. The finance module, that's where things get really exciting as we talk about general ledger. We start talking about journal entries and also how the finance module also allows you to do your journal entries for your debtors and creditors module. We then move into a section, a demonstration, where I show the workflow, approvals, and administration and start to give an overview of how all of those business processes work. After that, we then move ahead into a couple of detailed demonstrations of the iPad showing reporting, and then we also show business intelligence on demand, BI on demand. So I give a demonstration of that. We cover the production module, and we go through and look at the processes for production. I then give an additional demonstration of mobility, again showing the SAP Business One mobile application running on the iPad and the iPhone. And then the final presentation that you can find here is a complete overview, which runs for about 40 minutes, and I take you through the process of using the standard SAP customer presentation, talking through that. We show a customer video, which is the video of Dave's Gourmet Foods, and again, I would encourage you to start incorporating those customer videos into your presentations, and then a demonstration as well. So what you have in all of those demonstrations is a complete end-to-end overview of all the functionality that's available in SAP Business One. So let me dive back now to our presentation, and hopefully that gives you a good understanding of each of those demonstration scenarios, where to find them, and what each one covers. But of course, the best way of seeing that is going in there and getting that content yourself. Okay, looking at those videos, and they're a fantastic tool to use as well, as I mentioned in session one, when you have new people starting in your organization and you want to give them a quick overview of SAP Business One and explain what SAP Business One is all about. So then let's talk about innovations and Sizzle and how you meet the challenge that's being laid down to us every single day by competitors. The way that I like to do that, and if you've built your demonstration environment the way I suggest, you're going to have all of these tools available. You use Microsoft SharePoint as the central linkage point. Why do you want to do that? Well, if you've ever demonstrated against Microsoft, for example, you will know that most Microsoft partners utilize SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint, their portal and collaboration tool, as the central point. Well, guess what? You can do that too. And there's a demonstration on my YouTube channel that shows you exactly how to do that. So you want to start off by using SharePoint as the central linkage point. Why? Competitors are going to make a big point that only they can deliver that integration. Well, that's not correct. We can deliver that same integration. We can show a prospective customer how they can utilize SharePoint as part of an SAP Business One solution. The second step is to make sure that you're demonstrating on top of Small Business Server. Small Business Server is the component or is the platform that actually provides that SharePoint as a standard part of the infrastructure. So if a customer has deployed on top of Small Business Server, that SharePoint functionality is already there. And what are we showing? We're showing that tight integration between SAP Business One and the underlying Microsoft infrastructure, which again, if you compete with Microsoft, and I'm sorry if you don't compete with a Microsoft solution, but many other solutions, as I mentioned, still refer back to this point, and we want to make sure that people understand that we do that as well. We want to make sure that people understand that Business One runs on that infrastructure and runs seamlessly and just as well, if not better, than many other applications. When you're demonstrating your mobility solutions, make sure that you're demonstrating that in a live scenario. So have the mobility components up and running and installed so that as you're showing SAP Business One running on the iPad or the iPhone, as transactions are being processed into the back-end system, you're getting those real-time updates and integration. It's great that we have a demo platform built in so you can give a basic demonstration of what those solutions are about. But really, if you want to increase your chances of winning the deal, then have it live and show it live. When you're talking about dashboards, you want to talk about the concept of insight to action. Being able to get an overview, identifying key performance indicators, and then talking about specifically how, once you've got that information and you know there's some action that needs to be taken, how quickly you can jump, for example, from the finance dashboard, which shows the outstanding debtors, how quickly you can jump from there straight into business partners, for example, and start doing debtor management, creating activities to record the calls that you've made out to the debtors, and even showing, for example, the Dunning Wizard functionality. So again, it's very important to have those end-to-end scenarios that you're showing. And then, again, one of the innovations in 8.8 has been the incorporation of the browser widget. Now, you might think, well, the browser widget's no big deal. It shows a web browser. Well, guess what? There is so many components, so many additional tools that you can utilize to position and expand the Business One solution that are web-based that you can now drop inside Business One simply by using that browser widget. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about one of those in a second. So when you are demonstrating your innovations and selling the Sizzle, you need to understand what your competitors are doing and make sure that you negate that competitor by incorporating these components into your demonstrations. The demonstration platform that I've suggested and that I'm showing you how to build in those other videos will enable you to do exactly this. All right, so let's now talk for a second about BI on Demand. Today I am in New Zealand, and I spent some time with one of our partners here in Auckland, and I presented at a couple of their events that they were running for some potential new customers. And one of the things that I demonstrated that made everybody sit up and pay attention was business intelligence on demand. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, hang on, what's BI on Demand? Well, BI on Demand is a solution from SAP, from our Business Objects team. And it's a complete on-demand solution for business intelligence. The great way to position this, and guess what? You can actually start off by using it for free. So you can position it as a free tool to get people familiar with business intelligence. It's a complete solution that helps prospects or helps customers find answers, create reports, and share data. You can take Crystal reports and you can actually upload them into BI on Demand. So the positioning here is that it allows business people, C-level executives with little to no business intelligence experience to be up and running incredibly quickly, and it's intuitive. In addition, as I said, the solution is free to try, and easy to buy, and that's going to enable your customers to start using it within minutes without needing to install hardware or software. Now, I've got some demos that I've recorded that show you step by step how to take SAP Business One data simply by generating, for example, a sales analysis report, taking that straight up into BI OnDemand, and then being able to slice and dice that with BI OnDemand. So you need to incorporate that into every single one of your demonstrations. Again, will the potential customer buy that solution? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you need to position to the C-level executives that you have this functionality available, and it's there for them to get more value and be able to make better decisions from the data that's sitting inside their Business One system. So where does Crystal Server now fit into this? So Crystal Server is a tool also from Business Object. It's not free. Okay, there is a great revenue opportunity for you as an SAP Business One partner in terms of license revenue and services revenue if you start incorporating Crystal Server into your demonstrations and into your product offering. Now you're thinking, hang on, Crystal Server, what is that? Well, some of you might be familiar with Crystal Report Server. At the beginning of August, we just released the latest versions of all of the Crystal line of product to Crystal 2001, and Crystal Report Server has now been renamed to Crystal Server because guess what? It's not only now a scheduling and distribution tool for reports, you can also use it with dashboards. So dashboards that you've built with Crystal Dashboard Design, you can now give people access to that, not only from inside SAP Business One, of course, but also from Crystal Server. So it is a tool, a web-based tool that's deployed on-premise inside the customer's firewall on their hardware that's designed for data exploration, report viewing, dashboard viewing, report publishing, and securely managing that information and delivering it out. So taking reports, taking Crystal reports and dashboards and delivering those out via email on a scheduled basis to different people inside the organization. Again, I would encourage you to take a look at the BI OnDemand and the Crystal Server products and incorporate those into your demonstration. So when you are demonstrating these innovations, I've put together some examples you can use. And after today's presentation, in about 2 days, actually it'll be next Monday, if you go onto the SAP Partner Edge Interactive site, you're going to find a blog post which refers back to these 2 sessions. And in that blog post, I'm going to put links to every single one of these demos that I've talked about that you can just click on that link and see it. So next Monday, go onto the SAP Partner Edge Interactive, go into the Business One area and look for that particular blog, and it will refer back to these demo sessions, and I will provide pointers so you don't necessarily need to go digging around on the YouTube channel to find these, although they are very, very easy to find. So this particular demo scenario, I've entitled it Some Cool Ways to Use the SAP Business One 8.8 Cockpit. You can see as of this morning there were 1,049 views of this particular video on YouTube. And in this video I show integrating social media, integrating business intelligence on demand, integrating Microsoft SharePoint, all inside SAP Business One, utilizing the dashboard and utilizing just the simplest of tools, the browser widget. And got to tell you, when I demonstrate this to prospective customers, they love it. And you know the amazing thing, and I don't try and hide this or pretend that it's not this way, you can explain to them, these are tools, these are external tools that you can access, but guess what? We've embedded them inside SAP Business One, so that means your people can just focus on working inside one tool, and you can make that one tool available to all those different people from inside SAP Business One. So they start their day in SAP Business One, They never need to leave. And of course, with 8.82, which is coming soon, we've got even more innovations that as soon as we're able to do that, I'll be recording some demos for those and making those available to you as well to teach you how you can demonstrate those innovations. So coming to near the end of the presentation. So 5 demo tips for success. Again, number 1, build your own private cloud demo system for all the reasons that I talked about in session 1. Tell a story in your demos. It is the best way to engage your prospective customer and keep them engaged, keep them interested. Number 3, learn about, set up, download, and start demoing the Crystal 2011 solutions. And guess what? As an SAP Business One partner, you get not-for-resale versions of each of those products, and we're about to update the not-for-resale page with the latest downloads for each of those Crystal 2011 solutions, so you'll be able to start demonstrating them. Leverage my YouTube content to guide you through the process. If you're ever not sure about how to demonstrate a piece of functionality, go and take a look at that before you have to go and do a demonstration. Just refresh yourself with the process. Now, I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest demonstrator, but certainly the feedback I've had is the videos that I've produced are very, very helpful. Point number 5, start to build your own video portfolio. If you can stand in front of a customer and demonstrate SAP Business One, you can certainly stand in front of a video camera and start building your own video content, which you can start using. Or, of course, as I said, feel free to leverage all of my content. Now, as one very well-known gentleman who wears polo neck sweaters, has round glasses, and is the head of Apple, likes to do, so I'm going to finish off this presentation before we get into Q&A with one more thing. So a couple of times in today's presentation, I've referred back to a way that you can access all of the documents that I've talked about. And that is the SAP Business One Channel Partner Sales Toolkit. What is that, I hear you ask? It is a tool that I have built on top of a product called Evernote. What it is, it's basically a salesperson or a pre-sales person's toolkit where all of the things that I've talked about today, demonstrations, recordings of demonstrations, customer case studies, solution briefing documents, product brochures, positioning guides for SAP Business One, the starter package, the SAP Crystal solutions, all of those documents are stored inside the Channel Partner Sales Toolkit. How do you get it? Very, very simple. You go to www.evernote.com and you sign up for a free account. It costs you nothing. You then send me an email requesting access to the demo, to the Partner Toolkit. I then send you a link. I sign you up for it. I send you a link. You can then access these tools, this information, either from a component or a client that you install on your computer, either a Mac or a PC, doesn't matter whichever one you've got, there are versions for both, or you can access it from the web just by going to www.evernote.com, signing in with your account, and all this content will be in a copy of that, what we call a notebook, on the web. So let me quickly show you what it looks like. I'm going to go back and share out my computer screen again and quickly share my copy of Evernote. So here is the Evernote user interface, and hopefully you're able to see that. So what you'll see is we have the SAP Business One Sales Toolkit. I'm just watching my second PC here, which is monitoring what I'm doing. There it is. It's just come up on mine, so hopefully it's come up on yours because I've got a bit of a slow internet connection here. And you'll see all the things that I'm talking about. So, for example, there's the Crystal Solutions 2011 Channel Sales Guide. The Crystal 2011 Positioning and Messaging Guide is there. a standard sales presentation that you can use, which is PowerPoint, that has the standard Crystal sales presentation where you can extract content from that and incorporate it into your presentations. And guess what? What this means is you don't have to go digging around for the information, because I manage what goes in here. If I find something that's useful, if I find a presentation that's helpful, a document that's helpful, I publish it up here. Okay, a matter of fact, with many of the documents that are on here, I publish them into the sales toolkit before they even hit the channel partner portal. So it's a great way of having somebody acting as your personal information butler, if you like, and making sure you've always got access to the latest and greatest information. Business intelligence solution briefs, success stories. Here's a success story that came up on the channel partner portal 2 days ago. I published it out in the sales partner the Channel Partner Sales Toolkit 2 weeks back. Demonstrations. All those demonstrations that I was talking about, they're already here for you inside the Sales Toolkit. So you can carry them around on your PC and watch them at any time. There's even click-through demonstration scenarios that have been put together by the people in our education team, fact sheets, all kinds of things. So this is a great tool to have because, for example, if you're out in front of a prospect and you don't have your computer with you, you can log on to the web, sign into evernote.com with your account, and all of these documents, all of these things are available for you. You can email them to the prospect, you can download them, they're basically all here. Case studies, you name it, it's here, and you can quickly search through and find any of the information by using these tags. So, for example, if I'm looking for demonstrations, I just click on demonstrations, and you'll see what you then get is a list of all the available demonstrations in the system. I'm still uploading a few more of those ones in there. If, for example, you're looking for presentations, you then click on the tag that says presentations, and you can see there's your Crystal standard presentation, your customer-facing Business One presentation, a customer-facing presentation that you use for positioning the overall SAP product portfolio, a starter package introductory presentation, and so on. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that tool because it has basically the rest of what you need in order to have a complete sales and pre-sales kit, and it really rounds out the demo environment that you have. So with that, I'm going to go back now to our presentation, and we're 3 minutes past the hour. We did start a little bit late. So what I'd like to do right now is two things. What you see in your, if you go back out of full screen mode, if you went into full screen mode, you'll see in the chat window there is a link which you can click on, which will take you to a feedback form, which at the end of this presentation we'd like to ask you to fill in and give us feedback on today's presentation. What you can also access, and I do apologize, my mobile phone's just started ringing in another room, so you're probably getting a little bit of that noise in the background. My apologies for that. You can also remember to go out next Monday and access the SAP Partner Edge Interactive and access that blog where I will have grouped together, step by step, every single one of the demonstration videos that I've talked about to make it easy for you to access them. With that, I would now like to throw back to Eiffel from the SAP KPS team, and she's going to open up the call now if you have Q&A. So don't forget, you can ask your questions through the Q&A pod that's available through the chat pod, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions that way, or you can ask them via the phone when she makes that available. Normally we don't get too many questions, but if you do have some, now's the time to ask. Back to you, Eiffel.
We will now begin the question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press *6 on your telephone to unmute your line. You can also ask your questions in the Connect chat window.
So again, remember that *6 to unmute your phone and ask a question. And it looks like I'm running according to my schedule, which is, or according to a trend that I seem to be developing, which is we don't usually get too many questions. One or two questions that have come in during the process, during the presentation. A few people have asked, how do they get the recordings? Well, the recordings will be made available to you if you've registered for the session in a couple of days. Eiffel, correct me if I'm wrong, we automatically send the link out to everybody who registered for the session so they can go and download that. Is that correct?
Yes, we will send the recording within the next 48 hours.
Fantastic. And you'll also have access to a copy of the presentation that I used in today's session as well. So it looks like, here's a question. Somebody has created an account in Evernote. They want to get hold of the Channel Partner Sales Toolkit. You create an account in Evernote, and then you send me an email, and there's my email address on the screen right now, richard.duffy@sap.com. Send me an email saying you would like to have access to the Channel Partner Sales Toolkit, or words to that effect, and then I will register you for that, and you'll get an email back with a link that you click on that will take you in and grant your Evernote account access to that shared notebook. Okay, so hopefully that's nice and clear. So with that, I think we don't have any more questions, Eiffel, so why don't I hand over to you to close. Before I do that, though, again, let me say thank you to everybody who joined today's presentation and the session on Tuesday. Hopefully you found these sessions of value. Please take the time to fill in the feedback forms. They're incredibly important for us because they give me the feedback to let me know whether or not the information's been valuable, what we can do differently, what we can change. If I've bored you silly and you've fallen asleep during the presentation, let me know, because I certainly don't want to do that, but please fill in that feedback form. Thank you very much. Back to you, Eiffel, to close.